welcome.
Solid.
Nice to be sitting here with you guys.
Oh, man, it's good to be here.
A
Good to
pleasure.
be here.
And I'm normally not the facilitator because I really jump down a rabbit hole on certain subjects.
Come on, man. We'll stay with you on the
but why
rabbit
we're
So
hole.
you have been told.
So we're going to focus on
Join
two
me.
things. Yeah, we're going to talk about performance, and then we're going to talk about education. And we're going to talk about Coach Manny in performance. So while we're on the subject here, Coach Manny has seen sports, strength conditioning, performance training, and done it very well at the high school level, the collegiate level, the NCAA standard, right? He's dealt with multiple professional athletes over the years, and his open mind has brought him back, right, and working on this project that we have here with the Institute, to where he gets to work with all those levels again, but then also get to those years of adolescence with the youth athletes. And to stay on subject here, we talked earlier about patterns, right? The difference between working with the professional athlete and the attention you need to give them and the time that you have with them versus all the way down to the youth athletes, say in their years of adolescence, let's just say beginning like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, right? And what the benefits are of being able to work with athletes at the youth level in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, right? Versus the obstacles that maybe you have working with the professional athlete that everybody wants to do, but maybe they don't understand the obstacles that are in your way from a performance standpoint. So with that experience, what have you seen at the professional level that's much different than working with the athletes at the youth level, Coach?
So I'd say one of the biggest things is the involvement at the professional level is not near as much as the involvement on the lower levels. The reason why there's a much shorter window, even in the NFL offseason, strength coaches get 6 to 8 weeks with their athletes. That means that's for camp, OTAs, and so forth. So if you go to and work with a professional athlete, you might work with the guy for a month, 5 weeks. So from a pattern development, you're looking at assessment and other things, a lot of things you can get done, but you're talking about from an overall developmental standpoint. Say that's the first time you got the guy. Well, he's already got his pattern cemented. You can work with him. You can offset him. You can work to help him restore muscle length tension discrepancies that come up because of those issues. But at the end of the day, how he moves got him where he got. And so you can help him, but it's going to be to a certain degree. The biggest bang for your buck, and I've said this over and over again from a developmental standpoint, being on all 3 levels. If you can get the kid when he's his youngest and develop him, it has the greatest significance. This is the reason why. Kids, you think when we go into whatever sport we're going into, has anyone taught him how to run? There's a proper way to run.
Yep.
There's a proper force application. There's a proper biomechanical way to move your center of mass, however you want to put it, whatever you want to say. Oh, have you learned how to do that? You're going to change directions. Has anyone taught you how to do that? Has anyone identified your limitations on why you might not be able to do that at the best level you're capable of?
Right.
No. Has the assessment gone on?
Probably not.
No, he picked up a bat, a football, a basketball, and he started shooting. We started doing drills. Okay, what about the core instability that he has? Do we address? Did anyone teach him how to run? Did anyone teach him how to stop? Did anyone teach him how to jump properly?
Right.
No, it hasn't. When's the best time to teach somebody something like that?
Right.
And I'll give you one other example, and you can ask whatever it is. A lot of times with the boxers, like you look at a Ward, you look at a Mayweather, right?
Yeah.
You see how exceptional they are at what they do. And it isn't always the case, but those guys started when they're like 4 and 5 years old learning techniques and developing certain things. So when you watch the advancement of them, they've been fighting for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with younger athletes. If you can get them in an early stage and teach them how to run properly, right? Proper force application, all these other things. There's a number of things that you can minimize. You can minimize the risk of injury.
Huge.
That comes from overuse. All right. You can offset it by controlling volume and teaching them and educating them. And this is a really big, you can really give them a solid education early because you're talking about the educational piece.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely one of the most pivotal things that you can give them is not just your training of them, but the kinesthetic awareness that you're teaching them, the mental awareness that you're teaching them, the philosophy that you're teaching about how to look at sport. What are the things that are most important? There's an educational component. This is how your body works. And you're giving it to them during a time that their job is not on the line.
Yeah.
You get into a time where I got to get a scholarship, or else Johnny's got to run a 4.5. He's not going to make it.
Before the
You know what I'm
games,
saying?
before the games at that level,
Yeah,
where you're worried about the outside thing.
That's it. He's still in a position where development should be the priority, right? And then the last part is the injury resistance through restoring muscle length tension discrepancy. People get overuse issues because they're young. They don't develop great patterns, and then they start getting hurt because they get out of this proper alignment. They start putting stress on things that they should be putting stress on.
Yeah.
Okay, you can work on all that and teach somebody how to correct that, create balance within that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Then you start to load them, right? You increase the amount of power they have and the strength they have after you've taught them stability. Okay, well, they have a better kinetic chain to handle the stresses that they're going to take on.
Right.
Well, that reduces injury risk.
I think that's one of the best things that Vince Lombardi said. The greatest profession is being a teacher, and once you're able to teach those fundamentals, that sticks with them for a long time. And hopefully, they're being able to be plugged in any program and be successful because they got a good fundamental
That's it.
base.
So when you're in a place where you unfortunately don't have that education now, I was having a conversation with someone the other day about this. We were talking about their, not just periodization, but their days, the load, how many times they're practicing, are they training, are they doing injury prevention protocols of any sort. Can you be in a red alert for overuse injury even without adding additional strength conditioning or performance just from neglecting, right, its importance from pattern re-education and overplaying the kids that, for instance, I'm going to play on 3 teams. I have 4 days a week of baseball practice. And then every weekend I'm playing in tournaments, and I'm playing anywhere between 4 to 8 games. So we're not even talking about the hardcore training footwork sessions that you got going on outside of your sport, but you can be in an overuse alert, right? Stay even without that.
Oh, I read an article the other day. It was like 60 to 70% of the overuse comes from the amount the kid is playing the sport. Not from all the stuff that he's doing around it. It didn't say like his resistance training. It didn't say his speed. It was like in his sport, this kid plays 3 seasons, or this kid plays year round.
You get that a lot.
Yeah. So answer to what you just said is unequivocally yes.
Absolutely.
No balance whatsoever. And then jumping into education in the past, kind of battling a place to where there's a lack of education at those fundamental years, and some go without all the way through, which is tough. So to be able to bring introductions to getting introduced, let's say, to injury prevention at a younger age, proper mechanics, biomechanics, right? Sports nutrition. Did I ever say injury prevention? And if I didn't, I'm going to say it again. Injury prevention.
It's needed.
Is it needed?
You say it like 3 more times.
Yeah.
All right.
And then wrapping those introductions, which right now everyone always hears me, I'm always pounding like exercise science. The umbrella of exercise science is so important. It can be it's applied human performance as just a framework. It's a system, right?
Yeah.
Whether that was the intent of it or not, I'm not sure. Because when you were coming up, were you more so in strict kinesiology program, or was it more of an exercise science abroad? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with the other strength conditioning coaches that you network and work with, are they coming from the strict, just the kines background, or were they coming from exercise science?
Most guys I've talked to come from kines, but it's been pretty well rounded.
Okay.
Like me personally, I didn't come from a kinesiology background. I was a psychology background.
Wow.
Big thing for me is always the mind.
And that's now a big aspect that falls under the umbrella of kinesiology, really, sports medicine, or not only sports medicine, sports psychology.
Big time. And Jess, you just hit something that was really good. This is one of the more challenging things. In sport, the education of the coach increases as you go up. So the quality of the coaching and the knowledge base of the coaching, usually by you get to the professional level, it's got to be pretty good because they don't let you be there, right? To some degree.
Right.
But at the lower levels, right, there's not this huge amount of education needed to coach it. And this is what I mean. The young man goes out. A fundamental understanding of how the kinetic chain works, compensation patterns, all the things that could create the issue for the young man, right, in terms of injury.
Right.
That's not necessarily addressed. It's not looked at, and people aren't necessarily haven't developed the qualifications to be able to do that, nor should they necessarily, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why there's resources out there for them to go get. That's the big reason why, but that's the thing I always say when I go into these clinics is I say, hey, there's resources. The thing is, it's not bad that you don't know because you coach or, it's not looking into the resources available to help the young men maximize, especially in this area that protects them. And what is that? All right, it's going to get assessed.
Right.
What are the vulnerabilities? And that's available to anybody. If you don't have the education, it's going and finding it. That's the thing more that I talk about is, hey, it's going and finding the resources
Right.
that can bridge the gap for you and give you a more complete, well-rounded program. But
And they're not limited now.
No.
Then and probably one of the substance or the foundations that we build what we do here is there was always the references back in the day, right? Of, okay, you're doing this, killing it, in your strength conditioning, your football, weight training program at your high school. You should do speed work at X place, right? Have you ever looked into chiropractic? Have you ever got a massage? Right, it was all these different referrals that you got that were all over the place. And during those times, if you were to try to piece those together, your schedule would be absolutely insane. Going to 5 different locations, maybe to another city. I want to see this specialist. I heard that sports nutrition is going to be the factor that's going to take my student athlete over the top or take his development to the next level, right? Yep. But my sports nutritionist is 3 counties away. Right? Yep. So I get to see them once a month. It doesn't fit in with my homework schedule. It doesn't fit in with my training. I got club soccer practice over here 4 nights a week for an hour and a half. I can't miss that. Right?
Yeah.
So how different now, we're taking this approach of not only educating that level, even at the youth athlete, of what is important now, but how you access it, and you're able to come to one center or one source to not just be educated, but also be able to apply those resources. Powerful, right? To kind of force development. And I think you see that change going on right now for sure at the professional level, right? At the collegiate level, you're starting to see more human performance centers developed, better strength conditioning centers, and right to where you have these, you maximize, as you like to say, on as many resources as possible in one spot. But now we're able to bring those resources down. Possible doing it. It's tough because we have to educate the market. One, it's important, and 2, that you can.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's the tough part because it's the belief is like you only get those services if you're a professional. Or, you only get it if you're LeBron James or you're these dudes. Mm-hmm. But you really don't know where it's at because you don't know what you're looking for.
Right.
And once you know what you're looking for, then you're able to identify who's offering those kind of services. So not only to be educated, but to know where those things are offered and to see it that, hey, this is actually at not just at your top high schools, because you're seeing it at high school levels as well, but it's in the private sector. So it's offered to just about everybody.
Right.
And I think that's a golden piece where it's like you see the importance of it, you see where it can take athletes, and not only the longevity, but what's going to, even at the professional level, you talk about regression. Right? Going back to the fundamentals, those important parts that some of these guys were able to kind of seep through the cracks through natural ability, but you're seeing that even at the highest level, hey, this is what's going to help the career for the longevity, for a 10-year career plus. So now to be able to identify and give that back.
That's a really good point, too. It's interesting, even when you nailed a certain point, is a lot of the overuse issues, right, or what discourage kids from wanting to continue to go on and play. So only 30% of kids that start in Little League go on to play in high school.
Correct.
Or whatever it is. Or the kids burn out. He's hurting. And he's like, hey, I'm 11 years old and I'm hurting every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's But you just said it. There's not the education, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. What I mean is, the kid goes out and we'll say basketball.
Yeah.
He's unlimited in the amount of games that he's playing. It's over and over again. He goes through a growth spurt and his tendonitis flares up, and they go, "Hey, let's put a strap on it and go get you therapy, and we're going to ice it, and we're going to ultrasound and try and alleviate the symptoms. But we're not going to deal with the root. The root is the instability that you have,
Yeah.
whether it's at the ankle, whether it's the hip, is putting an excessive amount of stress on the knee. We're not going to address that, though. We don't have that in the wheelhouse to address it. We can't put in the cause to, whatever the case may be, whatever the organization is that they're doing it with, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the kid's vulnerable. After a while doing this over and over again, some kids just realize I can't play. The other ones go, "Hey, I don't want to keep feeling like this. I'm burnt out. I don't want to keep doing it at this level."
Yeah. Miserable.
What if you can get ahead of that and control the volume and say, "Hey, how much volume is being put on your body?"
Right.
Okay, good. Now let's look at your mechanics. All right, now listen, you've gone for a while. We fixed the mechanics. You've gone on play. Okay, we got to reassess. Now, okay, we got to revisit this and regress and go back to it again.
Yeah, and I think you hit it pretty big time. Reassess or assess.
That was the word right there. I was waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, if you go into assessment, now you can be pointed in the right directions of what is your need. And then just imagine when you're able to
Identifying your need, because what we're talking about is we're educating all these markets first before you receive service, right?
Yep.
And if we have a stance and we're saying to assess, you lead with assessment, and then everything else finds its way. You're able to program from that assessment, and that right there might be the missing piece. It's not the fact that I'm just using the word training, the layman term.
Yeah.
Training is important. Everyone takes a little bit of that, and all of a sudden everyone's a trainer, right?
Yep.
There's the importance of recovery. Now everyone has a recovery center.
Yep.
And using automation and tools, right, for blood flow and manipulating blood flow, even though they're not therapists or even though they're not doctors, they lead it from it, right? If we're able to educate on assessment, that might be the biggest change and impact in the industry overall, because then at least you're taking an educated stance on what your next moves are for each individual athlete, because no body is the same.
Correct.
That's a big one, what you just said. And educating, especially parents, on developmental hierarchy. Hey, you start from the ground up. Hey, Johnny doesn't start on his 15-inch box doing plyometrics. Hey, he doesn't just go in and start doing sprint training. There's things in his kinetic chain we need to address.
Right.
We're going to help him with it. That's the things we need to focus on. Hey, we need to work on his flexibility, his mobility, and his stability. We need to work on him getting fundamental movement patterns down solid. We need him understanding how to move himself in the most efficient way possible.
Right.
All right, we're talking about maximizing, and what can happen is you go, hey, teach him how to shoot a ball better, teach him how to swing a bat better, teach him how to, all super critical, right?
Right.
But when you're talking about maximize, you're addressing the athlete from all these different aspects that will help him maximize and absolutely supercharge him swinging the bat. Whatever the endeavor is that he's taking on, you're maximizing it by building all these support groups around it, his kinetic chain, his mindset, which is to me always the most important thing, right? His nutrition, like all these things build that. And so when I build all these components, he can go out and take 1 million shots. Okay, his nutrition, his nutrition's here.
Right.
His movement's here. Mechanics are here. His mental understanding is here. We were going to really help him maximize? No, maximizing is the whole thing. It's building the whole entity.
And I like what you say that, because it's maximizing, not working on the weaknesses or not identifying weaknesses. You're just providing needs. This is what's needed for you
To be the best you can be.
This is your strength and whatnot, but we're not focusing on weaknesses. Just your need, and that's by assessment. It's not a biased opinion. It's just that's what we're seeing.
That's it. It's tangible. That's it.
Tangible, right? Yeah. So with that education, jumping onto another subject, when we first started sitting down and mapping out this year, what we were trying to create as that ultimate experience, that ultimate resource, right, in a center that can supply all the resources and needs for a pro, and how all those resources then are tailored to the different levels down versus sport, age, where they're at in their development. We were speaking about, this was 8-9 months ago, right? At this point, we're talking about how education fits in there, because I'm coming through and creating a modernized sports academy, right? Naturally, this traditional way of education, this traditional way of schooling as a student, knock the athlete out for a second, right? We all grew up in traditional schools.
Yeah,
right?
that's at secondary, elementary level, yeah.
And it hasn't changed. That model hasn't changed significantly or even maybe moderately in a long time, and it still exists. So when we were bringing up this way of being educated, this alternative education system that we were going to leverage and utilize, which is distance learning and utilizing technology to our advantage to have our student athletes receive their curriculum so they can be in a better environment, or an environment that promotes to maximize more efficiently and effectively, right?
Yeah.
One of the first things, Coach, remember you were bringing up was, hold on a second. So they don't go to school here? You remember that?
Absolutely.
And when I was talking with the partner over here a second ago too, talking to Ron, we're talking about how priming the market sounded tough pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah.
You had to educate people aggressively on distance learning is a thing, and it can be effective if you approach it like so, right?
Yeah.
And everyone has a good experience and a bad experience with everything they do. I've done homeschool before, it didn't work out because I ended up being the teacher.
Yeah.
Nowadays with technology, you can go into a homeschool program, mom and dad aren't the teacher.
Yep.
And I think that's a scary word, and that's the one reason why I avoid the saying homeschool. We good? This is good stuff. Okay. Avoiding the word homeschool because it triggers traditional homeschooling in your head of, oh, then you mean the neighbor where the kid doesn't leave the house all day,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Correct.
mom is the teacher, don't know what dad does for a living. Right? It has this like weird connotation, like
Yes.
it's different.
It's taboo.
Yeah, exactly, right? Now you can say we're leading away, but this is 20 plus years of aggressive change at the collegiate level of how to maximize education by leveraging technology. And if you talk to probably high 80-90% of these student athletes, very few of them spend times in lecture halls anymore. You may go to labs.
Yep.
Your academic advisor is probably drawing you and pulling you into a learning center, right?
Yeah.
But no longer are the days of 3, 4, 5 classes and trying to jam in your athletics and all that together. So if that's what they've changed to, the higher education, then why wouldn't you be preparing your student athlete at the earlier stages for that lifestyle if they want to be a student athlete?
That was always the interesting outlook as far as like even going to the higher education is like, okay, why am I only in class so many times, and it's hybrid courses now? It's great. It works for my schedule, at least for everybody usually in graduate school is a little bit older, has different responsibilities, obligations, so they understand that at that higher level, and they're like, hey, we know you got work, you got to make a living, certain things, and these are
Right.
professors letting us know. So that's why it's geared towards evening or online platforms and whatnot. So same thing. Kids are getting busier. They're going from sport to sport. They're going from resource to resource, whether it's performing arts, everything that encompasses performing arts, it does have the demand. Or it is almost like you're
For sure.
preparing for a future job or something, some kind of skill that's going to land you something else better down the line.
Right.
So why wouldn't it be adopted? And you talk about getting ready for the next level, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing on the academic curriculum. You're pretty much saying the first time you step on a college campus, hey, welcome to the real world. Now you're going to have to do your own scheduling. And now you're going to have to,
Independency.
yeah.
Yeah, but even
let
what you're
go.
saying, from a developmental standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, for me, one of the biggest things I always got caught up in school was the passing periods and all the social activity. If you gave me the opportunity from a developmental standpoint to come in and go, hey, you're going to do your academics, and you're going to go focus on the sport that you're developing, your athleticism for 3 hours, whatever the case may be,
Right.
the developmental increase would have been exponential.
Yeah.
Right.
And I understand people staying away from the social element is the thing that, I enjoyed, but the social element to me too also was a huge distraction.
Yeah,
I was undisciplined. And if you limited my environment, I was better when you walked in and said, hey, this is your school. This is what you're doing. I got a computer, good. I'm not going to get distracted by people around me. I'm going to take care of my business. Now I'm going to go and do my workout. Yeah, Huge difference. And then here's the last part, which you just already nailed. The individuality. Everybody learns differently.
Right.
The one size fits all, the cookie cutter deal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it didn't work for me. I have a daughter. I'm looking at her. I'm going, I don't know if that's going to work for her kind of deal. And is she not, was something wrong with her because she didn't fit in the cookie cutter, or should we find something that fits and takes care of her? If we're tailing it, the thing we want her to have is an education.
Right. That flexibility overall there's a flexibility within distance learning
Yes.
as well
Yep.
to enable each individual in wherever they're at in learning. You can tailor the curriculum, right? You can tailor the speed. You get answers back faster than manual education. That's a fact.
Waiting for parent night.
You
or
tailor the
something, right?
time.
Waiting for my 2 parent nights for the whole year to see where they're at. I'm talking about turning in a piece of paper and not getting it back for 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, we're 2 chapters ahead getting tested on that, and I'm just figuring out right now that I got 7 questions wrong on my test.
Yeah.
That doesn't make too much sense. So leverage technology and this flexibility. You have a 10-question pop quiz or a final or whatever it is. You're going to get immediate feedback when you hit enter on where you're at, how to get into it. Virtual training is being utilized by the corporate America now
Yeah.
to train people at a faster pace even too. So if it is about jobs after school, maybe we should get with the movement and start learning on the device that's going to land you the job, right? Or be in that environment of being able to prepare to use the use the same software, use the same foundation. That's all we're talking about. And in our world, at the youth levels, starting at 6th grade, if you're open, all you have to do is be open to it.
Yep.
If you're open to being educated on an online platform, you're able to access other places that you couldn't utilize in a traditional bell schedule because you're trapped on a campus for 7 hours, and in 6 hours of our perfect day, you're done with everything.
Yeah.
There isn't additional needs for more homework time, more study time, more this. Nope, we blocked schedule. We got what we needed to get done when we needed to get it done. You already did everything you needed to do for the day for skill development, performance development, if it's wellness, recovery, assessment, whatever we throw at them, right?
Yeah.
And we're monitoring their education on a daily basis and sprinkling in sports psychology, leadership, and a bunch of other electives that you wouldn't find in a traditional school setting. So why not be open, embrace the change, embrace distance learning, don't fight it, embrace it, be open to this new wave, and and see that it's for you. You know what I mean, in a year, and then we assess your development and see how much you've grown in education, in performance, in wellness, and of course the skill specific part.
And everybody should be encouraged to explore
Yeah.
the option in pursuit of what will work best for your child. Because
Right.
that's the part that I go, hey, traditional thinking, you may not be able to hold on to.
And that's where we're at
It's all
today.
better.
I mean, you're embracing it. You're gonna have to embrace it because that's what even the public sector is gonna have to go through, a hybrid or whatnot.
The number one question that I've received since we've been putting information out about our sports academy, the resources, I think it makes a lot of sense in performance overall that we have an elite offering, in wellness, in injury prevention, and the resources that fit in there. Education always seems to be the biggest question mark, and the obstacle that we faced this year was wanting the parent to know that they have a flexibility in choosing whatever curriculum that they want to. And I think the tough part to start with is parents don't know that they have a flexibility.
Yes.
They don't know they have the option.
Yeah.
Right? 2, we've also invited that you can bring whatever school or online program that you want to into our program, and we'll still give you the educational support as if you were in one of our schools, right? I think the issue there is it's almost like bringing. I got to really bring everybody to the water on this one because it's a sensitive subject right now with everything that's going on, and the confusion I think lies with, hold on, you're not the school. How are you supporting education, right?
Yep.
So what everyone needs to know is that individually you can homeschool as long as we're good with it. Everyone has the option to homeschool, attend a charter school, your private school, your public school, whichever school you want to attend, we have a complimentary program for. But as long as you are utilizing a distance learning platform, which we have referrals for, if you can't find the one that you need, we have it. Yes, you can go to school with one of our resources to answer that question. And we're going to direct you in 2 ways. Distance learning, homeschool. Makes the most sense for what we do, right? But if you are staying in the district program, more power to you. What does your schedule look like so that we can make a block schedule that's effective for you when you come into our center? But we do not have a traditional bell schedule. You do not stay on our campuses for 6 hours, 7 hours a day. That's just our view. We viewed that it's ineffective to be on one site for that long, right? We're done. So it's a lifestyle for sure, change. And if you're open to doing the distance learning thing, which everyone is kind of forcefully got to kind of be open to it, right?
Yeah.
And there's hybrid programs that are creating and all that. Great, then be open to it. Check out our option. Check out our hybrid option, if you will, because when there's activity of performance, skills development, wellness going on, you're at our sports academy. You're at the institute for that. And when it comes to learning, you are virtual, and you have a ton of academic support on that virtual platform. You can check in, have to have human interaction. If that's your non-negotiable, hey, God, I want to be able to check in with a human being somewhere. I don't want to just do the Zoom thing. You'll have check-ins where our learning centers are stationed, right? Yeah. But the majority, what we want to get them used to is being virtual so they can be educated anytime, any place, anywhere, and utilize what we feel is the most efficient way to learn, which is digital.
And then where would they be able to see this kind of schedule? Because that's huge. I know at even the college level, hey, what does a schedule like that look like?
Right. The block schedule?
Yes.
Introducing people to the block schedule happens in our information sessions. Would you guys say that's, now I'm getting people included that aren't at the table without the mics. We've got to do that next time. My question was more so on the back was, we can have a guest appearance here. The first time we did a presentation for you, right, and it clicked, what was not saying what was the perception coming in, but what was like the aha moment? Was it seeing the schedule? It wasn't the fact that, hey, we want your son to do training and all that. I think that made sense coming into the meeting, but what I'm trying to identify is where's the disconnect that people know, like, wow, I can do this. I didn't know you could do something like this. That's what I get typically. And I think that it happens right after we give that sample block schedule to where it's like, oh, okay, now I have a visual. Now I know how we're going to maximize during these blocks. Is it that? Is it just the educational piece that is the pushback that you don't feel that if you're not in a traditional learning environment that you're not receiving a good education?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I always think just that conditioning. We're at a interesting time of the integration of technology. As far as maybe you and I had that time where no technology to technology integration. So we're kind of part of that path.
Yeah.
If you're going a little bit backwards, no technology integration, and then now you're having the generations where full technology integration since they were kids and not. So there's this gray area of understanding of how this technology is integrated to my everyday life or my kids' everyday life now.
Right.
And then where is that? If I don't understand what that looks like, then you're throwing education into it. Now you're throwing performance into it. Now you're throwing everything else that I knew about life growing up in the physical sense.
Yeah.
In this transaction of person to person, and this is the media now. Technology, and which not to say is scary, it's really not. It's just that continuous learning, and you know when you're not really keeping that open mind, I got to constantly learn because this is a fast changing world.
What's the statement? What is it? Sometimes people fear what they do not understand. And there's uncomfortability with technology. I understand that. I think a lot of because this has been very lopsided anyways. The whole distance learning introduction hasn't been like the most received thing,
Yeah.
even though it has the growth, the statistics. If you were to check the NCES on these growth statistics, those are there. The facts are the facts.
Yep.
It's had a reported growth for now would be 20 years. And the last study that they put out, it would show 16 when they put this out in 2016. But what you're seeing now is that what I think you were just getting to is you have the teachers that are in the traditional school setting having to learn how to teach because of the platform that you just put them on that wasn't a part of the credential program probably,
No.
right? It wasn't
Unplanned.
maximized, right?
Forced.
So many people now turned on to Zoom, online interaction, all of that.
Yeah.
We've been warned maybe in some scary movies where you're eliminating the humans and now the robots are coming in and the technology takes over, it takes away jobs.
Yeah.
You can interact with these teachers in even a better setting. And I think some of the teachers in a bash, but if you have a problem with classroom control, it doesn't matter if it's on site or online. You have a problem probably with control or coaching and whatnot. So what I'm getting at is the people in our programs that we back or that we work with have a grip on the classroom setting, online, understand the online platforms, all the interactive communications and everything you could think of, right?
Yeah.
Plus now we're adding this human performance program on top of it that's light years ahead of what you would receive.
You know what I do? I'm speaking as a parent now, from the outside looking in. So it's speculation, not saying it's true.
Yeah.
When you say what you're saying, one of the things I'd wrestle with is tradition.
Okay.
I'm used to dropping my kid off at school. I know I can drop them off. They're going to be up there for the day. They're going to be there from this point to this point, and I'm comfortable with that idea because the rest of the community is doing the same thing. I did it. I'm very familiar with this way of life.
Familiarity.
So there's a familiarity.
Right.
And there's a comfort with that level of tradition. Now here we go. I'm going to go to distance learning. What does that all involve? Well, I know if I go drop my kid off, all I got to do is go drop my kid off. If I go and do this distance learning right now, I have to go educate myself on what this is.
Right.
If I have a certain busyness in life, whatever the case, I got a million different things going.
Cool.
Which one's going to, and this is the walkthrough, which one's going to be easier to go to? I'm looking at it as an adult now.
Great question.
When I look at it and I go, from a developmental standpoint, hands down, it's not even close. Online and being able to go train and do these other different things allows you to maximize as a person.
Yeah.
From a logistics standpoint of getting my kid and going, okay, here we go, I'm going to go drop you off. Oh no, we're going to do distance learning. What does that mean? What are the materials I need to make sure that you have? Are you getting it?
Yes.
All these different things. I'm going, oh, wait, do I need to be on top of this? How do I know he turned in his homework? Who do I check with? I'm going to check with this. Okay, I got it. And then there's this transition. Now, say COVID. COVID forced us into this.
Yeah.
Zoom, all these other different, people were forced into that.
Right.
They're finding out now when they've been forced into it, hey, it's better. I don't need to go into the doctor's office to have a visit. I don't need to go do this. This is better, right?
It's more effective.
It's more effective. But
Time.
we were forced into it.
Right.
We're being forced into it now, huge caveat. But if we're not forced into it, a lot of times we're going to go with what's comfortable.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's
My
why
thought.
and great thought. And that's why, once again, maybe this isn't for everyone. That's why I'm always tagging inside of our information nights that this is a lifestyle as long as you're open to. And for the first thing you brought up a second ago was the drop off. No problem. That's why we do block scheduling, so that if that lifestyle makes more sense to you, then you drop them off physically at our center, and they're going to start their day off with all of the physical activity that needs human-to-human on-site interaction for their 3.5-hour block, 3-hour block, 4-hour block, whatever you come to, depending on their program, right? So essentially that would have their pickup around the same time that when traditional schools have minimum day bell schedules, you'd be on a half-day bell schedule every day. So if that makes more sense to you to have someone pick them up, mom, dad, parent, guardian, whoever it is, that's that style that you're picking is the drop off in the morning. I'm picking them up right in the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, there's actually a lot of parents and a lot of people, right, that if they knew they could leverage the online learning, it would be great for them because they may have a different situation going on at home to where there's flexibility in work.
Yeah.
How many of these new career jobs are moving online?
Yep. That's it.
Right,
home.
people, not saying just losing jobs or changing jobs, a demographic shift, but now they're enforcing, hey, you can work from this. So we are kind of entering a new world and this new familiarity.
There you go.
See, I'm getting educated here. This is good.
Oh man,
Okay.
we're growing.
The new standard, whatever word that we want to use here, is going to now we're going into a whole new wave where you are seeing different sports academies of different types, right, popping up all over. Now you have options, right? And there's different levels to each one. But anyways, before I get off subject, back to the timing deal. You have parents that the lifestyle meets, they want to drop off their child in the morning, pick them up afternoon. And then you have some to say, hey, I want him to wake up and get after his academics now. Get it done for the day. I want him completely done because our schedule is looking like we want to bring him to the facility at noon, noon 30, pick him up at that 3, so-and-so pick him up, whatever it is. And then we have a lot of family time. We have flexibility. I need to get him to practice for his team sport. I'm able to do all those kind of things. Now you have the flexibility to do so without, okay, Johnny, we just got out of school at 2:45. Hurry. Let's go to Jack in the Box. Let's get our food, right? Before we got to hurry up and get to practice an hour and a half away, right?
I know.
We got homework time. We got to get back to homework. And did you eat dinner? I don't even know. Okay, it doesn't matter. Get your homework done. And then you wake up and you repeat the cycle over and over and over again. Thank you for bringing this up. It's time. I don't need to sell you on the importance of performance and developing your athlete. The battle against time, if we were to take the traditional 7.5 hour block, include the transportation time to and from, then we're to and froms from practice, then coming home and trying to squeeze in what you should have a focus on the sports nutrition and stuff like that, which you don't. But if they did, sheesh, that's a crazy 16-hour period. I hope you're getting 8 hours of sleep.
And that's what's the
Maybe
crazy
not.
part. Aren't we all trying to do that as grown-ups too? Where, that's the one thing you hear. The biggest advice is like, yeah, you got to leverage your time. You got to leverage your time. Have more time at home. Some of the biggest regrets, and I've understood that, is that I didn't spend enough time on so-and-so. I wish I could have spent less time on work or this, that. So if that's what we're pursuing even as grown-ups, then why wouldn't we pass that on to our
That's a
youth?
really good point.
And I think that's a fight in the illustration of when we do those information nights or those info sessions is, here's our solve with the battle against time. Here's our stance in educating you in the importance of performance, wellness, and how it's applied to sports, right? But still the largest hump always still comes to the education piece. And once you've experienced it, you have like a foundation to stand on, like, it was great, it was good, could have been better if it was done like this. But I think the worst thing maybe to do is just be like, no, can't do it. Because then at the end of the day, you're just disabling the potential development of the young man or young woman, right? And all we're trying to promote here is that there's a more efficient way to maximize your 24 hours for the athlete. That's really all this comes down to, simplified. And once you know that there's a flexibility of receiving your education from what type of curriculum you want, and it can be provided to you. Is anyone following the sponsored ads you get on your phone? You can get a master's degree from Harvard online.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it has a price tag to it.
That
So
it
I'm
does.
getting in for this cert program no matter what if I pay the price, and it comes directly through here. So once you see the business of education, it's not that weird anymore. Now it's about what fits the lifestyle. I'm going to keep coming back, lifestyle. What's the lifestyle that you're open to, or this way do we figure out, hey, does an AM learning block work better for you, or does a PM block work better for you?
I know. I feel like I'm talking to my college counselor. Does the AM block work better for you, or the PM
Call
block?
me professor. Yeah. Which block?
And that was literally the question that I got asked. Do you want to take classes in the morning, or do you want to take classes in the evening?
And depending on where things go with shutdowns, with pandemics, with things that are going on, we may be able to also create a third block depending on how the restrictions go from the traditional schools and what we offer. We can go in all day. So we have services that are for everyone, right? We have after school programs if you want to be in traditional school. We have a private school option. We have a homeschool option. Yes, the answer is yes, if that hasn't been clear in some of the marketing videos that kind of go out is to build awareness. But for clarity, yes, you can receive your education under our guidance and under our management, right? And with that choice that you make, now we're able to tailor a schedule that's perfect for you, or for your student athlete also. And all we got to do is figure out how your pickup and drop off cycles, you know what I mean, work best for you, because everyone's coming from either a traditional home or an open, I want to do something more effective. We have programs for all. That's the point. And once you make that decision, we know how much time we have with you. That's how we tailor our programs around you in performance, wellness, injury prevention, sports specific. And our centers are fantastic, and they're diverse. So we put our programs in systems inside of all the different sport complexes, gyms, facilities that you're maybe used to, just with our tailored approach to how to, like Coach says, maximize your development.
And that's one of the coolest parts, not just the integration technology education, but integration of technology in the world of performance, what you're able to take with you, applications, softwares you're able to utilize on your own time, at home. You got to coach at home. A high-level coach at home.
It's called winning at home. Winning at home.
That's our other program segment.
That's our next segue. Winning at home.
Winning at home.
Starts with loving your wife. Okay.
Yeah. Happy wife, happy life.
Move past that.
Happy wife, happy life t-shirts coming out, powered by the Institute. Okay. In close, that's good.
Oh,
Any
yeah.
other important nuggets?
Good. That was good stuff.
Yeah, solid. Yeah, I learned a lot.
I learned a lot. Self-education. Personal development is important.
Oh yeah, and we can go on for days on that one too.
Next time we'll talk about the flexibility in personal development, okay? At early stages. The 7 habits of highly effective kids. Teens. Ooh.
Embracing
that's being
laws of
worked on right.
effectiveness that are universal.
Oh yeah, let's just keep learning.
We're jumping off here. You almost got me.
No.
No.
All right,
so
Self-awareness, number 1. We'll start with that chapter next week. Goodbye.
Rabbit hole.